Welcome everyone to the Med Spa Accelerator Podcast, brought to you by Everbo Marketing, the go-to resource so you can get the latest hacks and best practices so that you can market and grow a profitable medical aesthetics practice. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the 51st episode of the Med Spa Accelerator Podcast, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. I think today is the 25th.
Yeah, today is the 25th already. Can you believe that?
That is crazy. Another year gone by. That is amazing.
And this is actually the last episode of the year.
The last episode of the year, guys.
Yes.
So thanks so much for sticking with us, for listening in. Honestly, sometimes we kind of feel we're just kind of, obviously we're talking to ourselves here and somebody else at the end of this camera. Yeah. But
it is you
but
guys.
But we've gotten proof that there's people listening, so it feels really great, and we hope you guys have been enjoying this content and you've been finding it helpful, and it's helped you guys grow your business. So today we're just gonna do a recap of the year, your favorite episodes, okay?
And our favorite takeaways of the entire year.
Yeah, so the episodes so what we did was that we looked at the entire year, we saw which episodes had the most views and listens, right? Mm-hmm. And we're basically doing a recap of the top 5 episodes, and we're going to give you our biggest takeaways in some of these episodes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So since we have you here, make sure to like this video if you're watching it on YouTube, subscribe. If you are just listening on iTunes or Spotify, Google Podcasts, make sure to subscribe there as well. And let us know what you think about this. We already have a few episodes lined up for the beginning of the year, but we have a whole year to make sure that we get the best content and the content that you really want to listen to.
Yes. All right.
So
what's the first one?
So the first one is episode 33, and that is best practices to follow up and schedule your leads. This one, won by like a lot.
By a mile.
Yes. Yes. And some of the reasons why we love this episode so much is that we understand the struggle. Like, we know that you need to follow up and you need to schedule your leads, right, to make money, and how important follow-up is in that process.
Yeah, and so obviously, since a lot of what we do is patient acquisition for clients, one of the things that is super important in having a successful campaign is scheduling those people, right, and following up with them, And so we understand, obviously, the struggle because, we visited our clients, we've spoken to their front desk, to all their staff members, the owners, and we know how hard it is. So this episode, we tried our best to give you guys some of the best practices and some of the things that we're doing to make it easier upon you all, so that you guys can have a better result.
Yeah. So we really encourage you to watch the entire episode or listen to it, but here's our favorite clip.
Check it out. What I just said is that we get it. You're busy, right? We get that your staff is busy. So we've kind of found a really good system to help you get this 60% lead to appointment rate conversion. Yeah. So the number one thing that I want to say is it's all in the follow-up, guys. Like, when you generate a new lead, you need to be following up 8 to 12 times to get as high as an 80% reach rate. Sometimes we call the lead, like you call the lead and you don't get a hold of them, right? Yeah. And people are afraid to follow up. Like, in my experience, like, we're very afraid to follow up a numerous number of times. And I know you're thinking, like, 8 to 12 times, that is crazy. And I get it, guys. Like, if you're generating, let's say 50, 100 new patient opportunities a month, and I'm telling you to follow up 8 to 12 times, that's 800 phone calls. That's on the top end, 1,200 phone calls or contact points, right? Yes. And first of all, let me just say that, they don't always have to be phone calls. You can have a multitude of touch points, Yeah. So don't freak out on me, right? But that was the study that was done. I think it was a Harvard study that said that you have an 80% reach rate, so actually getting in contact with that person, once you follow up between 8 to 12 times, right? And so that's the first statistics that I want to make you guys aware of. Now, the other statistics, so you guys can get a higher reach rate, is that you want to follow up, as soon as a lead is generated, you want to follow up between the first 5 to 15 minutes. Yes. Super important. And you want to make, well, why? Well, first of all, is that if somebody signs up, then it's most likely they're in front of a computer or they're in front of their phones.
Yeah.
So if you can follow up with them within the first 5 minutes, you're going to see the highest reach rate. I can't recall what the numbers were, but the longer you wait, then the higher the chances are of you actually getting in contact with that person.
And I want to mention something here, because a lot of our practices ask us like, okay, well, how am I gonna do this like 8 to 12 times and within the first 5 to 15 minutes?
Yeah,
and like we
hard.
said, automations for sure. But the other thing about it is that how are they reaching out to you? I feel like you should be reaching out to them first.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're starting this conversation through text message or through your website, you should reach out through that website first or through that text message. If they're calling you, obviously, like if they're establishing that communication first through a call, then calling them is the best practice there.
Yeah.
So just making sure that where are they coming from and getting that communication going within that same media.
Yeah. So really, really good, guys. So again, those two things are going to definitely impact greatly your reach rate, your contact rate, and then the number of people, the more people you get in contact with, then by default, the more people you'll be able to actually schedule for an appointment, right?
And the other thing that I know you did mention, but I definitely want to kind of like emphasize is that those 8 to 12 times, like Luis said, it's not just about calling them, because you don't want to sound like a nag either, right? It
definitely
has to be like a
and,
couple of meetings.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you have to call 8 to 12 times within the first 15 minutes, guys.
Right.
I'm not saying that either, okay?
No.
You want to do that within, I would say, like a 7 or 14 day span, right?
Yeah.
And so, okay, now I'm going to tell you how we do it here at L1, how we implement, these same best practices in a way that is not annoying and that we're actually helping our clients get such a good result, right?
Yeah.
There's a system. I mean, and
there's a strategy.
Yeah, there's a strategy behind it. There is specific software that we use that helps our clients do this, and it's actually a software that we're co-developing called Patient Gem.
Yeah.
We've talked about it in some of our previous episodes. We have a link to it right now. We have a 2-week free trial that you guys can sign up for. But this is the tool, guys. This is the tool that's helping our clients get this 50-60% lead to appointment rate.
It just makes everything so easy.
Yeah, it's making it super
clear.
easy. It's giving you the metrics that you need in your business to grow it. What we talked about in one of our other episode 28, right? And so the cool thing is that whenever we generate a lead for our clients, then the lead goes inside of Patient Gem, and then a system is triggered to follow up with that lead, right? And so we do a series of 3 things. It's a series of text messages, of emails, and of what we call ringless voicemails, right? And so I'll explain what that is. And so we implement a sequence of about, I want to say 14 days that gets sent out automatically to the client, so we can have those 8 to 12 touch points without really the client having to do a lot of work. I mean, we do recommend our clients to call the leads, but instead of calling them 8 to 12 times, you're only calling them, at least 3 times. If you want to call them as much as 5 times, and that's also recommended. But, the text messages are actually helping out a lot, because text message, guys, has a 98% open rate.
Yeah. I mean, people live with their phones all the time.
Yeah, people are going to see the text message. And even sometimes when you call, like what's going to happen, like either somebody's at work, they're picking up their kids, they're driving, they
don't know the number.
They don't know the number, and they're not going to pick up. Like really, a lot of people don't pick up their phones nowadays. If I don't know who's calling me, I do not answer that phone call. I wait for them to leave me a voice message, and if I like who it is, I'll call them back. You know what I mean, right? Like, and so if not, text me, right? And that's the thing. Like, text message is huge, and that's why we use it in our business. And so
it's just so much more convenient.
Yeah, a lot more convenient. People actually prefer it, guys. That's the thing. People prefer to communicate with you through text message. And so within the first 3 minutes of a lead signing up, we'll send them a text message. We'll send them another text message 6 hours later, then a day later, 2 days later, 3 days later, and then 4 days later. Yeah. And I'm not saying from that first day. I'm saying that like after day 1, we wait 2 days and then send them another message. We wait 3 days, send them another message. We wait 4 days, send them another message. And that's how it gets to be around 14 days, right?
And it sounds like a lot, but I mean, just think about it like in your life.
Okay, so at number 2, we have episode 7, our proven 3-step system to build a profitable 7-figure med spa in record time. And so this was actually one that I really enjoyed doing, mainly because we kind of talked about the 3 different steps that we kind of implement in when we're actually helping spas market their business, so we can make sure that we kind of grow it sustainably and that it is profitable kind of, moving forward, right?
Yeah. This is a pretty long episode, but I love it because you really go like a deep dive into each step and what every step consists of.
Yeah. And so we're not going to spoil it for you guys. If you haven't listened to it, we're going to give you guys kind of like, obviously we encourage you to go listen to all of it, but we got one of the main biggest pieces coming up right now. Right. So step 1 is you want to have your market authority system. Number 2, you want to have a social selling system. And number 3 is that you want to have a what I call a clicks into clients conversion system. So I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of step 1, step 2, and Cassie and I will kind of riff on these a little bit. And then Cassie's going to jump into step number 3, which is really honing in that conversion system. So because that step 1 is really all about having a proven process to establish trust and credibility in your local market. And so when I talked, so kind of where this idea or this formula originated from is that after spending, all these thousands of dollars in marketing and advertising, we really kind of came to this realization that if we're just generating leads, right? If we're advertising to a cold market and we put out, let's say, a coupon or a gift card or something else along those lines, and you're not leading with some type of education, you're not establishing trust or credibility, then what's going to happen is that we're going to generate a lot of leads that are going to have a low conversion rate in the back end. They might be cheap leads, right? They might be $5 leads, but at the end of the day, it's going to cost you, it's going to be a lot more work on the back end, having to convert, follow up with these leads, getting them to schedule, getting them to buy once they come in, right? And so, Cassie, I don't know if you kind of had some experience about this, like, because I know, I know recently we've kind of focused in on kind of honing in your market, bringing it down a little bit more, and that's kind of caused for the cost to go a little bit higher. But we're also leading with a lot more education. We're leveraging a lot of video. Even after we convert a lead, we're actually retargeting them with a lot more video on the back end as well. So, I don't know if you've had any experience about that. And then I know you've also spent a lot of time doing video and just kind of, getting your name out there.
Yeah. With each campaign that I've ever done, there are a lot of variables, right? So I like what you said about it's not just about getting cheap leads. You'll see, in fact, I saw an ad, somebody targeted me the other day with a marketing ad agency kind of thing. And it was, leads, cool sculpting leads for $7. And it's just so much deeper than that. And I have had times that my leads were really cheap, but my conversions were really low, and then vice versa. Right now, I'm kind of, really riding in a sweet spot, especially for this time of year, which it's expected that the cost for a client acquisition is going to go up right around the holidays, right around the month of November is really a tough one because I don't know if anybody's like myself, women and cool sculpting being kind of a fit, right? I actually am seeing a higher rate of male conversions right now. Yeah. So I think that's interesting and something I want to kind of dissect a little bit. But yeah, it's difficult also as a provider or as a business owner to really understand what changes need to be made when you see shifts in the client acquisition cost, the lead rate go down. I track these numbers, weekly because especially lately I'm seeing big like pendulum swings week by week. Anyway, there's a lot to it. And I think we'll get into that in step 3, how to convert and watch the reasons why you're converting at a high rate or vice versa on that.
Yeah. And we're really big on this because here's the thing, like you're advertising to a cold market. And a lot of the times when I'm onboarding new clients or when I'm speaking to potential new clients, like I ask them, well, what's your conversion rate? Like my conversion rate's great. We close at 70, 80% once we get them in here. And it's like, well, you're not going to get those conversions, man. Like, I'm just sorry to tell you,
we were just talking. I was saying, my happy place, like where I know that my team is doing what they need to do on just a yes or no conversion. We're not talking about values of conversions, but if we are around 30%, then this is a really good place. It's acceptable at 20%, but we got to start working really hard. And I've seen it as high as 45%, but that's typically outside of my control. That's the market. That's the direct consumer marketing campaigns that Allergan is putting out. That's got some other variables that are outside of my power.
Yeah. And I also want to say maybe just the time of year too, like
Right.
there's during times of the year where people are most likely to buy it
you.
regardless. Yeah. And this is why we're so big on this, because you guys really have to focus in on building that trust and credibility in the marketplace. Like the reality is that people don't know you, And so again, like our business philosophy goes down to this, like we do business with people we know, we like, and we trust, right? And we don't do business with other businesses. We do business with other people. And so we're big on, there being a face to the practice, because that is the easiest way to build trust and credibility, right? And so when we're able to kind of put you out there, and this is why we're also very huge on video, and if you've heard our podcast and our previous episodes, we talk about video a lot, because we want to get you out there. We want to start building audiences and having people see you. And video is so great because it's going to appeal to your ideal patients, and it's going to repel the ones that you don't want to work with, right?
So number 3 is episode 37, and this is the marketing tactics that you should be using to promote your event.
Oh, I had a lot of fun with that one.
Yes, this one actually is a part 2 of what we do for promoting events. So the first one is just the strategies behind it, and this one is the actual tactics and what you can actually do to make sure that you promote your event to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
And we love this because we know how important events are for your business and to get that money in, right?
Yeah, and so in this episode, we actually dive into the details. We go through it step by step and talk to you guys about what is it that we do to help our clients get the best result possible whenever they're marketing their events. So yeah, make sure to check out the entire episode, but we're going to give you guys...
we even have a download for this one.
Oh, we have a download for it. So do we have the download here?
Yeah, we can.
So we'll add the download on the show notes, but then again, if you want the full scoop, make sure to go check out that episode as well. We're going to give you guys the highlights coming up now. So the first thing that I will say is that you want to have a centralized, let's call it a centralized hub.
Okay.
To promoting to have all the details about your event. Let's just say that.
I think this one is really good.
Yeah. And so a lot of the times people will use a platform like Facebook events, or they'll use something like Eventbrite to have all of the details, and then for people to go and RSVP, right? And you definitely want that. You want as many people to RSVP as possible, and everything you're doing prior to the event is getting people to RSVP. So that is the goal, right? The overarching goal, the 3 weeks before, is to see how many RSVPs can we get, right?
Yes.
And that should be one of the goals that you should consider when you're planning the event, right?
Right.
And so we've used things like Facebook events before, and some of them have, and Eventbrite as well. They have their pros and they have their, disadvantages, as well.
Yeah.
We use them sometimes, but what we always lean towards is actually building like a series of landing pages, what we call like a micro site. Basically, there's just 2 pages, right? That those are hosted online to have all of the information, all the details for the event, and so that people have the ability to RSVP as well.
Yes.
Why do we do this? Really because it just gives us the most flexibility.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can control what people see in it, whether that be like a video invitation from you, and how they're going to experience that in the moment for them to RSVP, right? So giving them the event details, however we want them to see it. That, like I said, like that video invitation, a map, so they can click on it and go to the event.
So some of these things, like, we get it. You guys might not be able to create those landing pages. So if you use something like, obviously like something that's easy accessible to you, like Facebook, Eventbrite, that works. I mean, that still works.
Yes.
But here are the main things that we want to try to accomplish with the landing page. First of all, if you are able to create one, right? Or you have a marketing team, ask them to create it for you. The main thing of the event is that, the landing page is that you want people to go in RSVP and you want to collect important information, right? So name, email, phone number. And we always ask the question too, would you like to bring a friend?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's like my favorite part about a landing page. And I've seen the difference with when we use it and when we don't. When we use it and get that important information from them, it's just easier for our client, in this case you guys, to actually like kind of keep up with whoever is RSVP.
Yes.
If you do it on Facebook, Facebook is it's a place where you can say like, oh yes, I'm interested in this event, and yes, I'm going, but am I really going?
Yeah, we've noticed that if you have Facebook event, and a lot of people just say going, but they're not really that invested or committed to go. They just click the button.
It's
and
very
that's
informal.
It. Yeah, it's very, very, very informal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then in the landing page, we get that information from them. Plus, we also always like to add that little thing of like, are you bringing a friend? Do you want to bring a friend?
Yeah.
It is something that that is just like a little reminder for them, like, oh yes, let me bring somebody along.
For sure. Yeah. And so the cool thing too about the landing pages, guys, is that once somebody opts in and gives you that information, two things happen. Well, one, we'll send them to a next page, right? Another page that's there, and we call that a thank you page.
Yes.
And on that page we give them a little bit more information about what we want them to do next, right?
Yes.
And so a lot of the times it's like you might say, hey, give us a call, just maybe schedule a consultation. We have special promotion going on, but we need for you to kind of book a time during the event. Let's say if you're making like an actual week event and you need to get them to come in at a specific time, right?
Or giving them that option of coming in at a specific time for
Yeah,
that
yeah.
consultation.
So exactly, right? So then putting it like an online calendar or something like that, or maybe you're doing things where like you need to get them to give you a deposit to lock in something, like a specific something, right? There's a lot of different things that can be done on the thank you page, or even if it's just like, hey, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. Here's what you need to know prior to the event. Or maybe you have a little video there saying like, hey, thank you so much for RSVPing for the event. We're super excited. It's going to be a ton of fun. Keep in mind that you really want to make sure you show up because we have X raffle, we have all these other things going on. Everybody's going to get a gift card, everybody's going to get some skincare product, so you want to try to hype them up. And on that thank you page, is because they already signed up and you have their attention. So at that point you really have the opportunity to communicate with them and get them really excited about the event, right?
And about the decision they just made about RSVPing to your event.
Yes, yeah. And so
it's like, yes, you can tell them like, you're already entered to a raffle, but make sure to show up because the winner must be present in order to get that.
Yeah.
So you just kind of like letting them know.
And you just mentioned a really good note. We always tell people that to enter the raffle they need a RSVP, and then we tell them that they need to show up, right? So then,
yes.
And coming in on number 4 is going to be episode 42, the ideal customer journey. I'm pretty excited about that one being one of the most views because we just released it a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But guys, this is something that we've kind of really honed in on. We've really tried to kind of establish a really good process of what is it going to take to bring new patients in the door consistently, right?
Yeah, and we talk about how important it is because you do have your brand identity throughout every single step of the way, and how you can make sure that you create a long-lasting and unique and great experience for your clients.
Definitely, guys, 100%. So again, we're going to hit you guys up with the highlights right now. Business. And so, in working with med spas, we've kind of identified that this is not something that is, it's very rare, And part of this has to do a lot with your SOPs, your standard operational procedures, and what's supposed to happen when certain scenarios happen in your business and how should they be handled, right? And this goes back down to systemizing your business, guys, which is what we're all about here. And so
it just makes it easier for you to grow.
Yeah.
It makes it easier to train your staff.
Yes, 100%.
It makes it easier for everybody at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
it's and there's less thinking involved when certain scenarios happen. It's always like your manual, it's your guide when certain things are happening. So there's obviously a lot of things that you guys can map out in your business and for a lot of these scenarios. But the one that we are talking about today is just onboarding a new client. What does it take to bring on a new client? And then what should happen whenever you bring on this new client? And what are the different stages so that you guys can actually keep moving them down that funnel and ultimately they become a patient, right? And so
this is coming from like lead all the way to an actual buying client, right?
Yes. And so there's a few different stages that we've kind of outlined. And so I'm going to go through all of them, and then I'll talk about some of the things that we've kind of believe that should be done in each single step so that you can keep moving that patient down that process, okay? Yeah. And I will just say that these are things that we've just kind of come up with, and we've even used them in our business. You can apply them to almost any type of business, but feel free to take it and adjust it and make it your own, guys. Definitely. These are at the end of the day our best practices, things that we've seen, that we've outlined, that we feel work. But take it and make it your own. And talking about taking it and making it your own, we're actually going to have this as a downloadable. So if you guys go to the show notes, there will be a link on there, so you can actually go and download this, and you can have our template. Then you can take it and play with it.
Yeah, definitely. So this is the ideal customer journey. This is what ideally should happen, right?
Yes. So let's talk about for when a new lead is generated. So that is usually the first thing, right? When a new lead is generated, what's supposed to happen in your business, right? And these are the questions that you need to be asking yourselves if you want to start scaling it. And so what we always say, okay, well, if a lead is generated, then we need to get in touch with that lead. So we need to call the lead, or the lead calls us, right? That's number one. Number two is the lead actually schedules. Number three, the lead shows up. Number four, the lead gets consulted. Number five, the lead actually makes a purchase. Number six, the lead gets treated. And then number seven, I'm on number seven, right? The lead will actually, what happens post-treatment, basically, right? And so those are the 7 steps that we're basically outlining. So whenever a new lead is generated, these are the 7 steps that need to happen. Yeah. So that ultimately, not only can we generate a sale, but then we can also deliver the service that they actually ended up buying for. Because it doesn't end when somebody purchases. It ends when somebody gets treated, right? Yeah. And all of those things need to happen.
Yeah. And you can even end up adding more steps to make sure that patient comes back, a referral.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And because you can, and that's the thing, guys, like you're mapping out the patient experience, okay? Yes. So when how can you build an amazing experience for this person so that they want to come? Not only do they, first of all, so that they can actually get, the best service possible. They can really enjoy that service, and then they can actually get the result that they're looking for. But then so that you can influence that experience so that they'll want to come back and then go home and tell all their friends about it,
Yeah.
And so that's what you're trying to engineer, guys.
So for number 5, we have episode 35. Why and how to use text messages for your med spa.
Oh, is this the one I did solo? Yeah.
No, this one we did together.
Oh, okay. So actually, so this one's pretty awesome, guys, because we go through the process of how we're using text message for our clients so we can get them a really awesome result.
Yeah. We try to convince you, if you haven't been convinced already, how important text messages are for your business and what you need to prep before you start, and what are some of the best practices to actually make sure that text messages work for you.
Yeah.
And you don't get in trouble.
Super important.
Yes.
We don't want you guys to get in trouble.
Exactly.
All right. Check it out. Messaging is a great tool. It gets results. And so right off the bat, You can, yeah, it works. Like you can make money with text message campaigns.
And you don't have to spend a lot of money.
And you don't have to spend any money. Like, you know,
to
yeah. And we've talked about this in some episodes before, right? Where how you can like leverage text messaging to make money. And if I don't recall what episode number that was, but make sure you go check it out. Check out the show notes and go check out that episode.
Everything will
we
be
give you
linked in the blog.
Yeah, because we give you the full strategy, guys, and the strategy that we use to help our clients make money and bring in reoccurring patients and bring in that reoccurring revenue. By just leveraging the text message. Yeah. So go and check that out.
Some great results.
We've had some amazing results because you can use it for pretty much anything. Now, it works. Now, here's the other thing, guys. Like many of you are used to using, emails to reach out to people, and email is great. You know, depending on your list size and how nurtured your list is, you'll get. I mean, what's the industry average is like less than 15%. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like open rates. You know, if you have a more engaged list, then you'll get higher than that.
But even so, click rates.
Yeah, but you know, open rates, click rates are at an all-time low. Now, here's the thing.
Email is so saturated.
Yeah, email is so saturated. Text message, though, guess what? Has a 98% open rate. Yes. So really all it means is that you're going to get more eyeballs on your message, whatever that message might be when you're doing these communications out to people.
Right now, it's that age where like people are on their phones all the time or on their tablets, and you can set it up so you get all of the message notifications there. And we just need to make marketing available easy to respond to.
Yes, convenience. Convenience is like the thing. Like, right? It's like when you think about like why companies like Amazon, have done so well, right? Even if you look at like why Blockbuster closed up and then Netflix came up, Redbox, all those things. At the end of the day, convenience plays a huge role in business success, right? Especially in today's age, especially in the United States, right? Where we want things to be fast. We want communication to be fast because we're people nowadays, especially millennials, right? You're gonna get them inside your business sooner or later.
Yes.
You know, they want things to happen fast. You know, they're not waiting around. And if they filled out a form and you didn't get back to them within the first 5 to 10 minutes, right? They're already gone somewhere else. On top of that, there's so much competition nowadays. Again, if people's looking, when they look for something, right? You know, I'll say especially women. Right? Yeah, like, right? Like, they're not just looking at one practice, guys. They're looking at 2 to 3 options, right? And who's going to win? The person that gets back to them sooner, the person that communicates the fastest and is the most convenient to communicate with. So I get super passionate about it, as you can tell, right?
And it is so convenient. Like if people are at work, but they can still text or
nobody answers phones anymore, guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and here's the thing, like we've been using text messages to schedule appointments, to follow up with leads.
I love that.
And honestly, we've been able to see an increase in the number of leads that we schedule. Right now, some of our clients have as high as, I want to say, 60% lead to appointment ratio. Guys, for cold leads, people that have never even heard of your practice before. And honestly, that's unheard of in the
industry. You know what, too? It's also a great way to build onto that relationship. I know we talk about building a relationship with your customers all the time, and this is a great way to do it. And I've seen it within like Patient Gym, how people, even when they're not going to show up, they text message and they're like, hey, I won't be able to make it. I'm so sorry. Can we reschedule? Or even if they don't say reschedule, like they're already like, I'm so sorry. They text them right away. They're like, no problem. Do you want to reschedule? You got that right there. It's not just somebody that just didn't show up and didn't tell you about it.
So it's been working out really, really well, guys. And so, again, you can't go wrong with it. It's such a great tool. And I always tell people, look, don't look at it as like a way that you're going to just kind of send out these generic text messages or promotions, because you're not. It's another way to communicate with your clients, right? And so, all right. Well, I hope you enjoyed all of those recaps and the highlights of the top 5 episodes of 2019. And you guys are taking some really good insight from it. We are excited for 2020.
I know.
It's going to be a really good time. We're excited
Yes.
for the content. Again, like Pili said in the beginning of the episode, make sure you subscribe and like these videos, guys. Leave us a review.
Yeah.
Let us know if you want specific content or specific speakers to come on board and different things like that.
Yeah.
And again, I will go ahead and extend the invitation one last time. We still got a few days for December. And if you guys are looking to take your practice to the next forward and you want a little bit of help, then I want to encourage you guys to schedule a call with me to see if you're a good fit for our program, right?
Yeah.
We'll talk about some case studies. We'll talk about exactly what we do and see if we're a good fit. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and click on the link below to schedule a call with me. And throughout the month of December, we are offering 50% off our setup fee. Okay, so that's a pretty good deal. So if you're thinking about 2020, how am I going to take it to the next level? Go ahead and just schedule a call with me below. I can't wait to talk to you guys.
Yes, and just once again, Merry Christmas,
Christmas,
Happy Holidays.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to us. We love bringing this content in for you and can't wait to see you next year. Bye.
See ya.